Geek Citadel.
Welcome to Bullet Points, where I list what I liked and disliked about a game, so you can take my list, compile it with others, and see if you want to rent, buy, or watch the game on YouTube.
Good news, Mr. President! I'm back!
Fantastic! Didn't even know you were gone.
Oh, well, you're a busy man after all.
I'm sure I must be. I don't know, my secretary handles most of the work.
As the newly elected vice president of the world, it's time to do whatever the president asks you to do. The opposition leader isn't satisfied with the results of the election. He started a smear campaign on the VP that has everyone riled up. Despite this ordeal, he goes out of his way to help out the citizens with their problems. He's quickly embroiled in a mystery that includes strange animals wandering the forests and coffee makers that attack the patrons.
Namaste.
Nom Nom Day? Is that a new holiday?
The creatives of Citizens of Earth were clearly inspired by the Great Mother series. It capitalizes on the visual presentation of minimalist first-person battles with text flowing above screen. It has its own sense of wacky characters, from the over-the-top vice president to the insane ramblings of the school mascot.
What are you?
Come close and I'll tell you. Closer, a little closer. It's a secret! Yeah.
Even with the resemblance to Earthbound, the game has a distinct similarity to the Pokemon series. As the VP, you're set to push citizens around with your powerful ways. Your job is to meander about town, running into wacky personas and recruiting them to do your bidding. Each citizen has their own set of skills, strengths, and weaknesses. They can easily be swapped in and out according to the situation, so there is plenty of fun to be had with each. Every person in Citizens of Earth has a voice, and they're all great and capture the characters on screen wonderfully.
Strange occurrences? You mean aside from you and the president actually managing to win the election?
Yes, aside from that. Wait, what?
Not every person has spoken dialogue in every situation, but the 75% that do sure are great to listen to.
Turns out, building a sugar factory next to a camp full of youngsters was a powder keg just waiting to go kablamo.
Citizens of Earth is a full-fledged RPG that captures the 16-bit era of games perfectly. It's hard to argue with the price of $15 for hours of JRPG fun, even if the game has some drawbacks.
What can I do for you, taxpayer?
I don't pay taxes. I also don't drink the coffee. Neither should you.
Taxes and coffee are two of my favorite things.
I like Citizens of Earth, but that's about as far as I can go with it. It doesn't really break any walls down for the RPG genre. It takes a lot of pride in its comedy, which is hit and miss, but the recruiting of citizens breaks down to the monotony of fetch quests. Find this, kill that, it's all rudimentary after a few battles. Within 2 or so hours of playing, I was already bored of what felt like a grind, and that's just not right. Not only that, but the combat system is a little too basic for my tastes. It makes no attempts at differentiating itself from any other RPG that ever existed before it. I love Earthbound, but somehow playing the same combat system in Citizens doesn't have the same appeal. The only assumption I have to my feelings is that I remember Earthbound from 1994, and sadly it's 2015 and I'd expect a staggering upgrade in the combat system by then. Citizens of Earth is like a sequel that doesn't try to do anything different. I mean, seriously, it even has some of the exact same scenes that happen in Earthbound happen in Citizens of Earth. Like when you go to the police station and you get ganged up on by a bunch of police officers. It has a drive around town tour system that existed in the Earthbound games. I mean, it just isn't trying to be different, but even then it doesn't feel the same. Does that make sense? It's not that I hate the soundtrack per se, it's just not that impressive for an RPG. Seeing as this game was inspired by the Mother series, you'd think it could do a bit better with the musical choices. Sadly, there were times where the music began to grate or simply cut out completely after a combat sequence.
This calls for a celebration.
Loading is buttery smooth on the PC, but the Vita takes some time to move in and out of buildings. It's a 5 to 6 second difference, but it's noticeable since you move through different zones constantly. Other than that, the Vita version is pretty much the same.
Who you calling young? I was building barns before your grandma was even born.
Whoa, how old are you?
Citizens of Earth has some great characters, but the world is a bit too sanitary. The visuals are crisp enough to take a delicious bite out of, but the environments lack an artistic flair. At times, I could confuse the design with that of a Flash game. For a game that's trying to capture the 16-bit essence, it lacks the artful variation that breathes life into different zones. The level design was clearly created for travel and not to stop to smell the roses. There is one thing that I can't stand in RPGs, and that's not being able to skip arbitrary messages. You can't do that in Citizens of Earth. You're forced to listen to the VP make snide comments during battle and enjoy lingering messages of enemies dropping items. It's a small thing, but man, if it isn't an annoyance when you're grinding. Comedy has a place in video games, and Citizens of Earth does tickle that fancy completely. As an RPG, it tries to mimic Earthbound and Pokemon, but falls short of the heights that those two titles reached. I recommend you wait for a sale before becoming the vice president of the world. Citizens of Earth emulates the Mother series closely, but fails to show its own heart in the process. I'm not saying it's a bad RPG, but nothing about the story or the combat had me playing it for more than a couple hours a day. For more Geek Citadel plays and reviews, check us out on YouTube, Dailymotion, and GeekCitadel.com. Also, for the PC lovers, join our group on Steam Curator. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.